Hi friends, my name is Al or Lilstarnerd. Welcome to today's video. If you don't know, I have this specific sketchbook that I do all the time, and I try to complete it within 3 months every time. And that used to work really well for me, but for the past few sketchbooks, it has not worked at all because I've been super busy. And I've been really pushing myself and it hasn't been super fun. And so this is the last time that I'm forcing myself. Ideally, I believe in September, my life should be a lot easier. I should have a lot more free time to dedicate, or more time to dedicate to my job and my sketchbook and my art. So it should be easy again. But if it's not, then I'm not gonna force myself to do it in 3 months. I'll take longer. So this is the last sketchbook that I'm trying to really make it happen. And I'm very behind. So I sectioned it off with little sticky notes for where I need to be by the end of each month to be on track. And currently it's August 1st and I just finished June. I'm 1 page into July. I'm a full month behind. I really don't think I've done pretty much anything, any art in my sketchbook, maybe a few things here and there in July, very little work. So I really haven't done much in July. I had a staycation, I think, at the beginning of the month, and I just came back, or maybe middle, and I just came back from a little family vacation. So I have a lot of stuff on my phone. I have a lot of pictures that I wanna do. I had kind of an accidental break from my sketchbook for a month, and I went on those trips, and so I'm really filled with a lot of inspiration and motivation and excitement to jump back in. Before the trip, I kind of tried to work ahead a lot to make sure that I had some free time. So now that I'm back, I think I have really nothing else to do except for some personal stuff and my sketchbook. I should have plenty of time. So I'm really excited. This week is going to be, I don't know exactly how many days, but this week is just gonna be me working in my sketchbook and trying to get through as many pages as possible. Not to just use up pages. I have a lot of ideas. I have a list of ideas that I wanna do. I wanna do good stuff, but I do wanna get through some real estate here. We'll talk again about all the expectations that I have for this sketchbook because it's a little bit relevant right now, but I'll save that for a voiceover later. We're just gonna get into it because I'm really excited. I wanna do my first, today's day 1, it's August 1st, like I said, and I really wanna do a little diary entries for the trip that I just went on. I wanna do a little spread for each day because I did so much stuff and I really wanna document it. And I have a lot of pictures that I wanna draw from that trip. So that's what we're gonna go do. And who knows what I'm gonna do the other days. But hopefully I'll get through a decent chunk. It'd be really nice if I could use the whole July section of my sketchbook this week, but if I don't, that's also fine. Anyways, let's get into it. Let's go draw. Let's go. Before we get into the art, I do want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Book of the Month. Everybody say thank you, Book of the Month. We love you. Book of the Month is an online service for readers providing wonderful monthly reads. Their mission is to promote new and emerging authors, as well as just promote really good, amazing books. The Book of the Month team vets hundreds of books every single month to create a curated selection of really great options for you to choose from. That way you can spend more time reading rather than looking for what you want to read. What's great is Book of the Month is also risk-free, so if for whatever reason you want to skip a month, you can and you won't be charged. And you guys know how expensive hardcovers are if you're a reader. Book of the Month has the best prices for hardcover fiction. You can get your first book for only $9.99 with the code VACAY. My 2 picks were Happiness Falls by Angie Kim and Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. I just finished Happiness Falls. It was so good. The writing was so interesting and exquisite. The story was fascinating. Book of the Month continues to fight back my reading slump with tremendous picks. I've expressed many times how important I think it is for us creatives to have hobbies outside of our art that support and feed our art. For me, reading is one of those hobbies, and I know that's true for a lot of you guys. And if that is true, you should definitely check out Book of the Month through the links down below. Thank you so much to Book of the Month for sponsoring. Now let's get into the week of my sketchbook. Let's go. One thing I used to do a lot, very thoroughly, very religiously, was journal. I kept very, very thorough diaries, I updated them daily, and I did that for a long time. I really wanted to document for myself, my life, my friends, my feelings. I have a really bad memory, and it made me very nervous, and I also really enjoyed writing and the concept of diaries and scrapbooks, and so I started keeping them. I had done it pretty much my whole life, but I started doing it very, very thoroughly. Later on, something happened that made me mentally unable to keep them anymore, and to this day, it really saddens me to think about what I lost and how many things I won't remember because I didn't get to write them down and keep them. Every once in a while, I try and pick up the habit back up, but more than anything, it makes me feel anxious and awkward and unsafe, so I just can't, which makes me sad. I've seen a lot of artists online and stuff talk about their travel sketchbooks or their sketchbook diaries. Katie Mai is a great example. I love her video about her travel sketchbook, and it really inspired me as like a hack around my mental block with diaries. So the first 4 pages of this weekly sketchbook run were dedicated to the trip I had just gotten back from to North Carolina to visit family. On that trip, I took a lot of photos of things that really inspired me, whether I actually planned to draw them or not, the beautiful sights, and I tried to take a lot of good like memory photos as well. So I had a good amount of references to fill these spreads. The spreads are mostly about the things we saw and places we went, not so much the actual family memories or anything specific. I didn't want to write anything that was like too personal about family or friends or me, because obviously I'm sharing it online. But also this is honestly more information than what I would have like felt comfortable writing in an actual diary. So because I had these, starting points and prompts with the pictures that I was painting, I, felt the need to narrate them or explain them or whatever. It was cool as kind of, journal prompts and a good way to document those days of the trips. Especially because literally every day was so jam-packed with really cool stuff. The first day was a lot of local stuff. We were staying at my grandma's cabin at the top of a mountain, so I painted the gorgeous view. We went and got lunch in the town at the bottom of the mountain, and that night we went on a ghost tour, which was so cool and truly so enlightening. It just changed my perspective. I'm very skeptical, but I'm huge on being enthusiastic and experiencing something to the fullest. So, when I'm on a ghost tour, you better believe that I'm doing everything I can to make direct contact with the spirit. On the second day, we took a trip to the Biltmore, which was having a great deal for summer that we happily took advantage of because normally we would never go do that. But it was really cool. I loved seeing the historical stuff, especially the behind the scenes. The house, of course, was super cool and amazing. I literally couldn't even wrap my head around it. But at the end of the day, it's like, great, the guy's got money, right? Like, who cares? To me, what was super fascinating was to go downstairs and see all the behind the scenes stuff in the servants' quarters and to see how a house that large actually functioned and to learn about the lives of the staff. Overall, it was a fascinating experience, and I'm so glad we got to go. On the third day, we went to this little town called Dillsboro that my mom used to love. When I was really little, like 2, 3, 4, something like that, Thomas the Tank Engine would ride through, like with the conductor and everything, and my parents would take us to ride it and take pictures and whatever. It was an adorable little railside town with little mom and pop shops, and it was just very, very cute. We went again a few years ago, and literally every store was closing down. It was very dead. Very sad and very dead. We found out the multiple trains, had like stopped coming through. So what was once a little tourist stop, there were no tourists, so it was dying. On the way coming home from the Biltmore, we had to stop to take a quick picture of the river, and like you can literally see the entire town from like the nearby bridge over the river. Not very high, but you can see everything. It's very, very small. And we saw that it was jam-packed with cars, and my mom was really excited, so we took a day to go back. The train, unfortunately not Thomas, but just a general touristy train that went from like one place to another, was coming through the town again and had actually pulled in at the same time that we were there, and the town was super lively again. It was still not the same, the shops were different, but it was just so great to see, and so cute. And that's where I stopped for the first day. I was doing them all in watercolor and kind of going really fast and messy because I wanted to be efficient because of how many similar things I was going to be doing in the same day. Like so many landscapes and scenery, I didn't want it to take too long. And by the third spread, I had gotten really bored, so I saved the last for the next day. On day 2, I picked back up with my spreads from the trip and I documented day 4's adventure. We had woken up super early to start our drive back home with enough time for a stop at Tallulah Gorge in Georgia, and it was incredible. Throughout my entire trip in North Carolina, I kept thinking about how much I actually missed Florida. Never in my life have I missed the place I left on a trip. But I was actually missing the beach and getting sick of the windy mountain roads and the thin-ass mountain air. I wanted the flat horizon and ocean bridges back, it was just so weird. We were only gone for 4 days. But then we went to the gorge and I heard the sound of the waterfall and I realized this is something that I don't get in Florida. I mean, not that there aren't any rushing waters in Florida, but back in Virginia, pretty much any hike or naturey place we went, there was the sound of waterfalls and rushing water. And I remembered how much I fucking love that sound and that feeling. Tallulah Gorge was just so incredible, like truly breathtaking. I don't have the words. I feel like I didn't even get to process it. It was so beautiful. We climbed a bunch of stairs to get to the suspension bridge, which I love suspension bridges. One thing about me, I love a suspension bridge. I don't know why, I just love them so much. Honestly, any bridge. I see a bridge, I want to go on it. I see a suspension bridge, and I'm gonna go crazy. I'm gonna run around on it and jump and make it swing. I love it. I don't love heights. Like I'm not afraid of them, but I don't love them. But put me on a suspension bridge and all possible fear leaves my body. Unless of course about my phone. I will be gripping that like it's about to sprout wings and fly away. That does give me anxiety. But it was such a beautiful experience and we didn't even see everything because we were in a bit of a rush to get back on our drive. So we decided we would come back next summer to camp there. So we wanted to save some stuff to see for then because there's a bunch of different waterfalls along the gorge and I think we only saw 2 of them maybe. There's 5 at least. It was crazy. After finishing that spread, I also worked on a very quick, very simple painting idea that I had written down maybe 2 weeks ago and wanted to get done in this video. This day I didn't do a whole lot of art, but all of it was really fun and relaxing and something that I had really wanted to do. By day 3, I felt like I was hitting a bit of a wall. I came off my trip feeling so excited to get back in my sketchbook and filled with so much inspiration, but once I had finished all the spreads of the trips, I felt tired. I didn't really want to do any more work. The thing was, my vacation wasn't exactly a restful one. It was actually very exhausting. Like I said, every day was filled with stuff, and then I went straight into cranking art out. And I think I was just running out of steam, as always seems to happen lately. What's so funny is I had this list of stuff that I wanted to do in this week of art, and I thought it was such a long list and it was going to take up so many pages, but I had literally finished all the items by day 3. Because some of them had to be done digitally instead of traditionally, so I was like, what am I supposed to do now? I started with some doodles of these 2 women from Pinterest that I had found and thought would be so cute as little doodles. This was actually the last item on my list that I had made. I was going to do an actual illustration with them, but again, I was just feeling so tired and really didn't want to do anything super high effort. For a bit, I was fighting it. I was trying to convince myself to try harder and do more. I was basically waiting for my second wind. And it was especially frustrating because my art was actually cooperating pretty well that day. Everything I did was turning out okay at the very least. So I was trying to fight it, but after a while I had to admit defeat. There wasn't much left in me to give that day. But I was worried that the next few days I would be way too busy to do proper sketchbook work, and my deadline for this video was sooner than I thought, so it was kind of now or never. And I decided to just have a silly little doodly day. And once I had decided on that and let go of the need to do something crazy or high effort or a full piece or just push myself at all, it became so much more fun and easy, obviously. I just had a good time with some nice pens and my highlighter and drew until I didn't feel like drawing. At that point, I knew that despite being in a point of my sketchbook where I need to feel a bit of urgency to get it done in time, I really just have to let go of my expectations for myself and have some fun in my sketchbook. I need to let myself do what I want to do, not what I feel like I should do. Between days 3 and 4 were 2 days of being unable to draw. Firstly, because I had other work to do, but when I was done with that, I found that I just really did not want to draw. Like, at all. I was in the middle of the book Happiness Falls, and I was desperate to know what was going on, and I felt a bit run down, and my wrists were hurting. I wasn't feeling it. So I thought, fine, I'll take a half day, I'll take the rest of the day off to just rest. And I did, and I was like, wow, I really needed that. Then the following day, I had to go help some family with some really fun stuff, and it took literally all day. So on day 4 of drawing, I realized it was my last day in this video, and I was like, wow, I've only filmed 4 days of art, and honestly, none of what I've done in this video feels very impressive. Not that everything I do needs to be impressive, but I personally don't like to put out art videos with absolutely zero art that I'm proud of or that I like. Like, if I'm gonna subject you to 30+ minutes of me working in my sketchbook, at least one of those pages should have an interesting process and a satisfying outcome. Otherwise, what's the point of you watching? Why did I make you watch that? So I plan on doing like a full illustration, something based on a reference so it could be detailed and realistic, but also something like original and creative. I wanted to do it in markers because I hadn't used them yet throughout this video, but then I thought gouache would probably be better because I didn't want it to bleed through onto the previous spread and ruin that one. So I decided on medium, and then I got to work looking through my Pinterest boards and found a really fun idea that I made a thumbnail for. And then I got hit with a similar problem I'd been having all week. I just didn't have the steam for it. But instead of not wanting to draw or paint, this time I couldn't. We all have those days where for some reason our art just refuses to look good. Everything we do looks butt ugly, and I was having that problem. So again, for a second, I was trying to push through it, and I was really getting upset and frustrated. But I remembered the lesson I had just learned. I needed to let go of all those silly expectations. So I did something easier, something I was wanting to do. I was going to straight up copy some pretty pictures I like from Pinterest. It's something I rarely do anymore for obvious copying related reasons, but it's something I used to do a lot in my old sketchbooks that I found super fun and often resulted in really cool spreads. It also requires a lot less brain power, so I pulled some photos I really liked that all had a somewhat similar vibe, and I got to painting. And honestly, I had a really good time. I tried to keep it a bit loose and fast-paced so I wouldn't get bogged down with detail or be stuck there for 4 hours per painting. When I got bored or sick of a piece or didn't like how it was going, I moved on to the next one and didn't worry about finishing or fixing the dud. I didn't care about composition or honestly anything. I was just vibing. And I'm so glad that that's the direction I went because I think it's a great way to end this segment of my sketchbook. Like I said before, I don't like to put out a video where there's like no good art. And so I definitely had like this expectation that for this last spread, it needed to be something good to make up for the lame-ish spreads from before. And whenever I put those kinds of expectations on myself, I think I just get too in my head. Lately in videos, I've been saying things like, okay, like put your, lower your expectations because I'm not gonna do well. And then every time I do that, I end up being really happy with what I do. I think with a lot of art, it's a lot of a battle of perfectionism, right? Like we just get so in our heads of like, okay, this has to be good for whatever reason. And then because we have that idea, we end up disliking it no matter what we do. But lately, every time I do art for art's sake, every time I look at it as an opportunity to do something I love, every time I do it as a chance to learn, to grow, to experience something, every time I let loose and have fun, I like it better. I like what I do better. The loose doodly page that I had done the day before, I liked the way all those doodles looked because I didn't really have high expectations for a doodly page. These paintings that I did on this day, I love the way they turned out because I just focused on like having fun and painting in a style that I like painting and painting pictures that I liked the look of. This page was purely about self-indulgence and just doing something easy and fun. It was a softball, and I ended up having a great time and liking the way it turned out. And obviously not everything I do has to be a softball. Like I said, that there are times when I do stuff as a challenge. Like recently I did the character design challenge, and I loved the way it came out. But not because I had high expectations, but because I just was trying to learn. I approached it as an opportunity to get better at something and to learn, and I had this expectation that it was probably going to be bad. And when I let myself have that freedom, I did art that I actually really liked. This is a lesson that I learn at least once a month. It's just really, really hard to fully accept as an artist, especially as an artist sharing my art to a lot of people. I still stand by the fact that I don't think I'm too hard on myself. I think it's just really easy to forget that I do this for fun. That the reason I like art is because I like art, not because I like being perfect at it or getting attention for it. And the more I tell myself that, and the more I remind myself, and the more I approach art with the idea that I love it and it's something that makes me happy and that's why I'm doing it, the more I'm enjoying it. And I am really, really happy about that. And this sketchbook challenge was another great reminder in that lesson. So I'm super, super glad that I took the time to do this, even though I really didn't get a lot of time for the art. I think I had a great outcome regardless. really hot. Like, it's really hot today. Also, ignore the backlighting. It's late in the day. What can I do? Film earlier, probably. It is August 6th, though I don't think it was even remotely a week. I'm calling it a week in my sketchbook for ease, for my own laziness, and the fact that that's an easy title. I also, of I think 2 of the days, I don't think I was in my sketchbook. I wanted to get stuff done, but I really didn't want this to be something that felt like a task or a chore. And honestly, there were some days that I didn't want to do anything. For what feels like the first time in a long time, I took a day off and I did pretty much like nothing. I read one of my book of the month books. I was super engrossed in it and I was trying to do work and I was like, all I want to do is read that book. So I did. And it was really nice to have some time off. When I was working my sketchbook, it felt great. And when it didn't feel great anymore, I stopped and that felt great too. I like the pages that I did. I think some are lackluster in a good way, in a way that makes me feel like I'm using my sketchbook as a sketchbook. I really love the pages that I did. Like what I was able to do, I'm really happy with. The pages from my trip are not great sketchbook pages. Like the art itself is like super lazy. My chair is so annoying. I was going really quick, but I like that it did what I wanted it to do, and sometimes it's nice to do a sketchbook page that is truly a sketchbook page, you know? During this week, I definitely feel like I went through a phase of like just being in a place where I can't draw. Like sometimes you try to do stuff and it just is not turning out, no matter what you do, no matter how hard you try, no matter how many different things you do, it all just looks ugly. I was definitely going through that at some points, and that's when I just like stopped working and I felt better. But what I was able to do, I had fun, and to me, that's what matters the most. I also accomplished everything that I wanted to accomplish. I had a list of things that I wanted to do art-wise, and I did all of it, including I wanted to do my August rewards, and I ended up doing those for Patreon. I ended up doing those separately, like digitally instead of in my sketchbook, but I did all the other stuff that I had written down saying I wanted to do, so I'm thrilled. That's it for me. I really don't have much else to say. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, the whole shebang. You know what to do. Also, don't forget to check out Book of the Month. Thank you, Book of the Month, for sponsoring. I don't really know what I'm saying. I'm kind of tired. Go eat some food. Check your email, and go do some art. Bye. See you some other time.